Spotlight. I'm Jack Taylor.
And I'm Jeff Taylor. Now, after a couple of weeks in which Mother Nature, of course, wreaked havoc with the winter sports season, things finally back to normal. Everyone back in the classroom over the past few days. We were getting a little cabin fever there.
Yeah.
Of course, that meant games were allowed to be played. So let's get right to the action as we head to the hardwoods for some highlights.
Yeah, a full stacked week of highlights here. We're going to start with two high-powered programs going head-to-head in what has been the toughest conference in basketball, to no one's surprise. ESPN student section there with the coverage. This is a back-and-forth showdown early on. Jackson Neely for Independence caught fire quickly, making magic from behind the arc and getting the home crowd into it. He'd do so on both sides of the court each and every way. Now, of course, you can't keep North Meck out of the paint that long. Alec Lewandowski getting away to get in through traffic there. Dylan McFarland coming to the other side for Independence and doing the same. It was a game of really anything you can do, I can do better. Here, Ashton Pierce closing the gap with the triple. North Meck was down. Now they're tied up ahead a little bit. Independence needs the three of their own, and Neely again from behind the arc right before the timeout, really getting the momentum going. They were feeling it. The crowd was all into it at this one. Independence really started to catch fire there in the second quarter, looking like they might be able to pull away a little bit. Christian Jones, he had a team high 17 points in this one, but it wouldn't be enough to close the gap against North Meck. The Vikings stay on top with a 6-point victory over Independence.
All right, on we go. East Meck playing host to Audrey Kell in a big Southwestern 7A, 8A conference matchup. East Meck looking to stay tied with Providence at the top of the standings. This one was close through three quarters. Neither team building a lead of more than 4 points until the fourth quarter. East Meck would start to pull away late. They win this one 59-48. The Eagles, Jordan Buzzard, had big night for the Eagles inside, while Braden Suggs, remember that name, was strong all night long for Audrey Kell. He is just a junior in that losing effort. With the win, East Meck improved to 8-1 in the conference to stay tied with Providence. East Meck wraps up their season Friday night at Palisades.
Next up, staying at East Meck, the East Meck girls playing host to Audrey Kell. This one was never close. It was all Audrey Kell all night long. The Knights got out of the gate quick, never really looked back, and the Knights would win this one, get this 75-18. It's no surprise the Knights improved to a perfect 9-0 in conference play and in the top of the Southwestern 7A, 8A conference. They're one game ahead of neighborhood rival Providence, who are 8-1 on the season. AK and Providence play tomorrow night for the top spot in the conference.
That should be a good one. All right, on we go. And over to last week, no team may be hotter than the Butler Bulldogs. Butler, third in conference play, taking on North Meck, who was in first place in the conference. Tied in regulation, this one went to overtime. Time winding down in this one. Isaiah White from Butler, he is going to drain the baseline jumper, and that would give Butler a 72-71 win over North Meck. Actually, that was North Meck's, get this, first conference loss of the season. Butler also took care of business against West Charlotte. Those highlights coming up in just a few minutes.
Yeah, all right, now we're going to go to Monday night. We saw another conference matchup just like that one we saw Butler and North Meck on Monday night.
Yep.
Cox Mill taking on Hickory Ridge. It was another back-and-forth battle early on. Amari Winters getting the fast break, getting the easy basket. The Chargers would not go down without a fight, though. Justice Coleman draining the triple there at the top of the key to close the gap just a bit. And that's how Cox Mill would really stay alive in this one. You're going to see Isaiah Hunter get the pass, draining another three for the Chargers, spinning around in the rim there and before finally going in. But Braylon Hill and the Raging Bulls would answer with a couple threes of their own. You see right here, he's going to pull up, get the momentum here. Now, as we wind down in the first quarter, like I said, these two teams are back-to-back. You see the missed, almost dunk there, inbound all the way out the other side. Cox Mill is going to get the easy 2 points here. The quarter's winding down. Got to get something for Hickory Ridge if you want to keep the home crowd in it. And Hall is going to go all the way from half court at the buzzer. And they would take that momentum and ride it to an 11-point win over Cox Mill.
Congratulations. All right, on we go. Back to Butler again. Now taking on West Charlotte, as we just showed you a minute ago. Nobody may be hotter right now than the Bulldogs of Butler. Last week, they took on West Charlotte, currently second. Of course, now it is against, West Charlotte now, sorry. They would win this one 63-61. Elijah Shine would lead the Bulldogs in scoring with 16 points. Chacho Womack, he scored 20 for West Charlotte in the losing effort. Congratulations to Butler. We have an interview with the coach, Patrick King, coming up in just a few minutes.
Yeah, they've really caught fire. All right.
Absolutely.
Next up, we have Lake Norman traveling to North Iredell for some girls basketball. We take a look now at Lake Norman looking to maintain their perfect record in conference play, while North Iredell came into it with only one conference loss. So Lake Norman would get this one somehow, though, in a blowout. We told you North Iredell was only one loss in the conference, but Lake Norman all night long. They were on fire, 67-23. Lake Norman was led in scoring by Kelsey Wren, who had 28 points on the night. With the win, Lake Norman improved to 6-0 in the North Piedmont 6A 7A conference and is 15-1 overall, while North Iredell dropped to 4-2 in the conference. These two teams will be the top two seeds when their conference tournament gets underway. Now, we talked about conference tournaments, though.
Absolutely.
Reports are coming out just in these last few days about canceled conference tournaments. We talked about how much the weather impacted the last 2 weeks, and throughout this past week, they've had to play games on Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. Some teams having to play multiple games in that stretch. So we've already seen the Big South Conference, which includes Ashbrook, Crest, Kings Mountain. They have completely canceled their conference tournament, saying we can't really do anything about it.
Right.
And then the Western Foothills as well, which we see has Hickory, East Lincoln, teams of that nature also canceling their conference tournament, which as we get into the new seedings and the new classifications really was just bragging rights.
So my question would be, has the NCHSAA thought about that, not having, like, how's that going to affect the seeding? I mean, do they look at that? I mean, do conference, I don't know.
At this point, they really just lean on RPIs.
And you give like the underdogs, now they don't get a shot.
Yeah, I mean,
and maybe improving the, who knows?
Well, so they, going into this, took away the conference bid, basically.
Oh, that's right.
That they get at the end. So you would still get one or two teams. If you got far, it definitely boosted your chances. It probably gave you a better seed.
Right.
But right now, they really just base it off of RPIs. So for teams like Butler, who had a really rough start to their conference schedule, them moving up in the standings as they have this past week is definitely helpful.
Right.
But they're still relying on their non-conference RPIs with win against East Met, Weddington, games like that. So it'll be interesting to see how it all fleshes out, and if more conference schedules get either canceled, shortened, or moved around. But right now, that's all we've seen so far.
And as we start the state playoffs, just a quick reminder, both the South Carolina and North Carolina state championship games right here on WCCB.
Absolutely.
All right, stick around. We have more Varsity Spotlight. Coming up next, we sit down with Patrick King, the man in charge of the Butler Bulldogs high school basketball team. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Varsity Spotlight. Now, one of the hottest teams on the hardwoods as the regular season comes to an end is Butler High School. The Bulldogs over the last week have won their last 3 games. 2 of those we showed you coming against the top teams in the conference, North Meck and West Charlotte. Head coach Patrick King has his team no doubt playing hard.
Absolutely. Now, earlier this week, I had the chance to sit down with him and talk about his coaching journey. Coach King, thanks for talking with me.
Absolutely. Appreciate you being here.
So just tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get into coaching?
Grew up in Michigan. My dad was a high school basketball coach. I was never the athletic or the big enough one to really play at the level I wanted to play at. So I got into coaching with my dad when I was in college. always loved the game, always wanted to be around it. And when I ended up moving down here, I was very fortunate. I didn't know anything about Charlotte. I applied to the whole district and ended up getting hired at Butler, which was an extremely fortunate landing spot, really good basketball spot for me. So just feel really fortunate to have ended up here in the position I'm in.
You said you didn't know anything about Charlotte. What drew you to this area?
Hated the winter, which is ironic given that we've had snow the past 2 weekends, but wanted to get out of the winter. Ended up, Charlotte Mecklenburg was at our job fair at Michigan State, and they offered me an interview to come down, and I said, all right, well, let's do it. So they were south. I knew they were warmer, and I wanted to be in a bigger city than I grew up in, so really glad to end up here.
Let's jump right into it. You talked about it, the weather.
Yeah.
As a coach and in high school, how has this impacted the middle of your season?
It's been really bizarre. Was just talking to our guys yesterday. We hadn't practiced for 2 weeks prior to yesterday, so we had gone 13 days without a practice, which is really unique. I've never been in a situation like that. And so we played 2 games on Thursday and Friday with no practice. We went 5 days after that with no practice. So we lost both games last week, and it was challenging. We're in a really tough conference where we feel like one of our advantages is our preparation. And so we've been trying to get creative with how we're doing that, but it's been tough. And our guys have responded well. They'll organize getting together and going to compete at the Y or whatever that looks like. So we've had to get creative, but I think it's made for a really unique season, and one that I think we're going to be ready to go once the playoffs start.
You've been here at some capacity for over a dozen years, head coach for about 5 years, I believe you said. Getting thrown into this conference, we knew what it was going to do for football.
Yep.
Talk about the competition that you've been put in for basketball.
Absolutely. When there was talks of this conference being made, our coaching staff was really excited about it. We're a school who us Independents, Charlotte Catholic, East Mech had been in a conference together with some other schools, and we had been kind of competing against each other for a while towards the top of that conference. And we're getting thrown into a conference with North Mech, with Chambers, with West Charlotte, with Mallard Creek, schools that have had a lot of success over the last decade in Charlotte and in the state. And really, we wanted to find a group of guys that were ready for that challenge every night. And every single night, you're going at it in an elite environment. Like, these road environments are awesome. Every night is a well-prepared team, athletic, and just the depth from top to bottom of this conference. You got to be excited for every game you're going at every night.
You get thrown into this conference, you know what it's going to have when it gets to it. How much more important did that make that 8-game win streak that you had in your non-conference?
Yeah, starting off the season the way we started it really well. I think it gave our guys a lot of confidence and a lot of, we needed to see what we can do across the schools around us and getting off to a really good start. And our guys did a great job of fighting through adversity early and finding ways to win games. And I think that has really benefited us, again, with how difficult some of these environments are, how talented some of these teams are. And even when a team goes on a run, is how are we regaining our composure and really able to try to get over the hump and punch back.
You've had, you were with a dynamic head coach as an assistant. You obviously said you shadowed your father when you were in college. Who have you really pulled from as inspiration for your coaching style?
Absolutely. My dad was my biggest inspiration growing up, and I'm fortunate enough, my dad is actually down here, and he is actually on our coaching staff this season. So that's been kind of a dream come true, is growing up, idolizing him as a basketball coach and being able to coach with him. And then when I got down here, Coach Kirby was here for a year. Got really fortunate. Coach Myron Lowry got the job here, and being able to coach with him for the amount of time I did, he really helped shape my basketball philosophy. Kurt Wessler, LJ Johnson were two guys that were on staff here. And then the guys on my staff right now, like Coach Kuhn, who's my top assistant, he's done a tremendous job. And moving down here knowing no one and literally having no connections in the basketball world, and being fortunate enough to end up at Butler around all of those guys and be able to work with them and pull from them, there really could not have been a better landing spot for me. So I'm extremely grateful to all those guys.
Absolutely. You talk about working with your dad. I know firsthand that it can be a headache or it can create some magical moments.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he's, you know, he just said, what can I do to help? I'd love to be a part of it. And our guys have embraced him. He loves being here every day. And he's a retired teacher and coach. So, I mean, I just know he's kind of living his dream right now. So it is great.
Absolutely. Coach King, thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Good luck this season.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
What a great interview. And best part, talking about the weather.
Yeah.
Michigan to come here and then 2 weeks,
Right.
bam. And not practicing for 13 days. Got to be crazy.
It was ridiculous for them to have to go through that, but clearly it didn't hurt them too much
Nope.
with the run that they went on after the fact, so maybe it was the time that they needed.
Absolutely. All right, hey, coming up next on Varsity Spotlight, we'll shine the spotlight on one local high school athlete who wants to help girls advance in the sports world. That's next.
Spotlight. Last week, we celebrated Women in Sports Day as females across the nation who play a big role in the sports world were put on a pedestal, as they should be.
Yep, now for Caitlin Fowler, who played volleyball for East Meck this season, her goal in her high school career was not to only excel on the volleyball court, but help young girls out who want to do the same. Take a look.
My name is Caitlin Fowler. I'll be graduating in 2026, and I currently go to East Mecklenburg High School. I started volleyball when I was about 12, and making varsity my freshman year is when I really kind of lit a fire underneath myself, because I knew I had to work twice as much as everyone else just to earn a spot. So being able to get playing time and have the opportunity as a freshman was really important to me. This is my second year being a captain on varsity. I love my team. I think we're all super close, and it's really a special group of girls.
Caitlin, she started working out with us in the summer, as her freshman year. And then the first thing that I saw was the approach she has to the game. She is just an athlete and has an athlete's mentality. Even as a freshman, she was super focused.
I started playing softball when I was 4. I played that all the way up until my freshman year when I really started taking volleyball seriously. Really, my brother and my dad were the big influences for me to want to play sports.
We're just a sports family. We enjoy playing, we enjoy watching. It's so interesting because of what I do for a living. I'm a coach, I mean, I'm a father, but I'm a coach too. We have a son that was a four-sport athlete in high school, and he went on to play college baseball.
Just seeing how much fun my brother would have with his teammates and like the passion he had for his sport really made me want to try.
We tried volleyball maybe when she was 10 or 11. She really got better quickly to the point that, I think when she was 13, 14, we started looking at, more of the travel situation and trying out for some higher teams, and that's when I think it really took off for her.
I always felt like I didn't really have people close to me that had the same drive and passion as me, and being able to find that through a sport was really just amazing. Putting interest in girls in sports for me is big because I know what it feels like as an athlete to be underappreciated. I think it's really important to make sure that women especially are able to shine through because their male counterparts often outshine them.
She wants people that look like her, to be able to have those opportunities and just to be able to advocate for more women's sports. And, I just think that sense of belonging and wanting to show, hey, look at us, look what we can do, like we're fun to watch as well.
I feel like right now girls volleyball is one of the fastest growing sports. Whether it's in high school or college, the numbers just keep going up. And I feel like a lot of girls are scared to kind of try or show that because they don't have many role models. So I think it's kind of important to make sure that they're not alone.
She always has put in 110% just to be the best she can be. She's not afraid to hold her teammates to a high standard. And I think that's really important for a leader, that you're not just friends with everyone. You show them, hey, we're trying to get all to the same place. And she's really good at that.
My dad always tells me 1% better every day. Even if you have a bad day, you still focus on one thing to get better at because it'll add up over time and eventually it'll be consistent.
There's a reason why you are where you are, and how do you make yourself known and how do you shine in somebody else's eyes is you go out there and you work and you grind and you get better.
So after graduation, I'll be attending Emory and Henry University. It's in the South Atlantic Conference. It's a D2 school. It's up in Virginia. I'm super excited. I'd love to do something, maybe create a nonprofit organization for younger girls where they can play sports and add in a marketing aspect to it so they're able to see that outside of sports they can do things as well in athletics. I just get excited every time. It's never something that's boring to me. I'm ready, I look forward to it. I start my day, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a good day. I got a game today. Immediately just makes everything better because I have something to look forward to.
Caitlin, Mom, myself, and your brother are super proud of you, and we're proud to see that the young woman that you've grown into and what the future holds for you. And as you go off on your journey, just remember sometimes when you're in a dark place and you think you've been buried, you've actually been planted, and that's where growth comes from. So we love you, we're proud of you, and we can't wait to see what the future holds.
My name is Caitlin Fowler, and this is my Varsity Spotlight.
Awesome young lady doing some great stuff on and off the court. All right, more Varsity Spotlight coming at you next. Stick around. And welcome back to Varsity Spotlight. The regular season for most of the conferences, they come to a close tomorrow night in terms of regular play. Conference tournaments, of course, starting next week. Some not, as we mentioned. All right, so let's take a look at some of the conference standings, see how they stack up around the area. Jack, take it away.
Starting with the Power 6, of course, and this is, like we said, the toughest conference in the state, in my opinion. North Meck and West Charlotte, they're sitting there neck and neck. They're going to be playing tomorrow night for that, outright, bragging rights. North Meck's only loss, of course, was to Butler. So
I didn't know they were 5-4. I mean, that's crazy.
They had a really tough start to their, schedule for their conference play, and have really worked their way up. So these two teams, though, that's what's going to be highlighting. West Charlotte has the chance to get, obviously the regular season title wouldn't be the conference season like you have it in football. But as I say, it should be a really good game Friday night. All right, moving on now. We've got the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Providence to East Meck. Like you said there, neck and neck at 8-1.
Right, that's a surprise.
I mean, for the groundwork they put in this offseason, the years they've been building up to it, especially when you wondered how this new conference was going to be reworked, it definitely shows the work that they put in. Argykill a little bit behind.
They've struggled a little bit behind, which is kind of interesting with Coach Kraft.
And then Palisades and Valentine Ridge, they're taking up the last part of it. Going through there now, we take a look at the Big South Conference, which is not going to have, like we said, any conference tournament.
I don't think it matters.
So at this point, this is how it stands, and they might have had something to do about that. 10-0, Hunter Huskies really running out that conference. Kings Mountain and Crest that were there neck and neck. 6-3, 6-4. Kings Mountain getting the little hit over there, and then South Point. I mean, look, they're all so neck and neck.
Right.
That's would have been really interesting to see if anyone could have gotten past Hunter Huss. Moving on to women's basketball now, we're going to stick with the same conferences in some of these. We have the women's Meck Power 6, North Meck and Mallard Creek. 8-1, sitting each other now. Of course, they're not going to see each other with North Meck seeing West Charlotte at 3-6, but really interesting to see how those two teams panned out there at the top. Butler sitting the same as their men counterpart at 5-4. And then last but certainly not least, we take a look at the Southwestern Athletic Conference for women's basketball. Providence, again, same record as their male counterparts, but can't get behind or above Audrey-Kell at 9-0, but they'll be taking on each other tomorrow night. So that'll be really interesting to see if they can't get a win there over Audrey-Kell with Valentine Ridge, Palisades, Rocky River. Should be an interesting end to the regular season in the conference.
All right, everybody take a deep breath. It is conference tournament time next week. We will see you next Thursday night. Enjoy your weekend. And enjoy all the Daytona 500. Talking Sports with my dad, Saturday, 7-11. We'll see you.